You just finished a book and you're so excited to pick up another one and dive into a whole new world and atmosphere. So you get up, you walk over to your bookshelf of all of your unread books, and there's a little voice inside your head that tells you all these books that you own, that you've paid money for, and that you've had for years and years. They're boring. They're not what you're looking for, and they're definitely not what you're in the mood for reading. But there are so many books waiting for you at the bookstore that'll be perfect for you. So you hop in your car, you race to the store, you take a little browse, you take a little gander, and you buy not one, not two, but maybe 3 books. And then once you're home, you realize there's an even better book that you saw on TikTok last night that you should read instead. If this sounds like you, you're not alone, and you're most likely engaging in tsundoku, which is a Japanese term to describe a person who owns a lot of unread literature. So I've been adding books to my collection for many, many years, and before I even had money to buy books, I was adding books to my Goodreads TBR. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to take a look at my Goodreads and see what are the oldest books on my TBR that I have yet to read, and see if they still hold up, if I should have read them earlier, if I should have just skipped on them, how long they've been there, and see if my taste holds the test of time. And also, I want to know, will I ever be able to just read the books I own without buying several in between? For this week, we're going to be reading the 5 oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. Let's take a look and see what books they are and how long they've been there. Okay, so I've pulled up my Goodreads, and the 5 oldest books I'm not shocked about, but it's going to be interesting. The oldest book on my Goodreads TBR is Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. I added this on September 16th, 2010. So, 13 years ago, which is kind of crazy that I have not read it. I do own it, but I haven't read it. The next book is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. I added this to my Goodreads TBR September 19th, 2010, so just a few days after. And then a few days after that, I added The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson to my TBR. About a month later, on October 27th, 2010, I added The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. And then the 5th book that's on my TBR is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, which was added March 11th, 2011, so a couple months later. So those are the 5 books that we're going to read. And spoiler, I have read 3 of the 5. Actually 3.5 of the 5 while I'm recording this. I lost my beginning clip. I most likely deleted it by accident. So there's that. So we're gonna have to go back in time a couple weeks ago when I first started the challenge, and then we're gonna come back to present day where I am going to be finishing this challenge. So let's go back to, I think, April, sometime in mid-April to start with. I believe The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I may be wrong, it might be The Book Thief, but one of them we'll start with. Good morning. So it's been a few days and I haven't updated you because I have no updates. I'm having a really hard time continuing this book and picking it up, and because of that, I'm behind on reading the rest of the books because I just wanted to take it one book at a time. But I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo because I got The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on my Kobo off the Libby app. The wait was like weeks long, and then I got a skip the line copy, so I have a week to finish this. I am sure it will be a quick and enjoyable read. yeah, I still cannot believe I've never read this book, at least from what I remember. I am probably forgetting the fact that I read this as a child, but I don't remember basically anything about it, so that's good. It'll be a fun read. So yeah, that's my update. I'm going to pick this up and then I will let you guys know my thoughts whenever I have them or once I finish the book. Probably once I finish the book. Hello, happy Saturday. So it's been a literal crazy morning, but I wanted to give a reading update. I'm just cleaning up and kind of doing some Easter prep right now. But yesterday I finished The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I thought was so fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And I do want to continue the series, even though it's like a middle grade. I do want to get the box set because I think it's such a great book. And I want to get my nephews to start reading it because I think it's so fantastic. I gave it a 4 stars, I think. I don't know. It's not a 5-star read, I don't think so, but I do think I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't remember the story. I don't know if I read this as a child, to be honest. I would be surprised if I did because I did not remember anything about the story. And yeah, so that was fun. That was like a great book to get me out of this kind of funk I've been in, trying to read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But yeah, so I finished that yesterday and then I got, sorry, it's so shaky. I got halfway through The Book Thief, and this also is so good. Sorry if it's noisy. I have like all the windows open. But this is really, really good so far. I think it's so unique, and you know what? A lot of the times while I was reading Mark Zuzak's writing, reminds me a lot of Frederick Bachman's writing, so, and I love his writing, so yeah, I really, really liked it. And yeah, so I'm on page 310. I love how floppy this book is, and I've annotated just some of my favorite sections or favorite spots, the spots that broke my heart and the spots that made me laugh. But yeah, so I'm going to try reading the rest of this today. 3 more books to go after this, so yeah. And I know this one is gonna hurt. I can already tell this is gonna hurt, just knowing where it's gonna go. And I did not know it was like a war themed book. I feel like I'm a broken record saying I love any story that's in any of the world wars, like World War I or II, just because it's so much a part of my heritage and background, being Polish. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. But yeah, I know I'm gonna shed a tear or two in the last half of this book. Good morning. Happy Easter Sunday. Oh my gosh, I had a very emotional night because I finished The Book Thief. But last night, I finished The Book Thief and I cried. Oh dear, dear, how much I cried. I have not cried reading a book like I cried this one. I think maybe the last one was A Man Called Uwe that I cried like this. Oh, and many times, not just once, many times. It was so funny. I was like in the in my room reading, sobbing. Sugar, my cat, was with me. Just, I was an emotional mess. And then my boyfriend was playing some video games with his friends, and then he came to the room and turned on the lights, and I'm just there like with my book like this, like crying. He was like, oh no. But yeah, I think this is going to be a 5-star read. I was debating last night like 4.5 maybe, because the beginning, it did take me a little bit of time to get into the book, and I was not understanding who the narrator was. And then once I kind of got my head wrapped around what was going on, I really enjoyed it. And I was able to binge it within 2 days. And I usually try not to binge read books because I just feel like the experience of reading is better when you're reading at a, oh, my cookies are done. But yeah, I feel like any book that you speed read is not, you're not going to get the same experience out of it as if you take your time reading it. But even though I would like put myself on a time crunch, I was like, okay, you need to read half this book on Friday, half of it on Saturday. I took my time. I literally was just reading all day, and I immersed myself in this world, but I did not rush it, and it was so good. I loved so many of the characters. I am so happy to have finally picked up this book. And like, there's some parts of me that wish I picked it up earlier because it's been on my TBR for like over a decade. But I also know with age, like, you just appreciate things more, and with a more mature lens, like, you're able to understand things better. And like, as I've aged, I've realized how much like my heritage, my history, my ethnicity, like everything of like where my family came from, like all of it means so much to me. And again, like, I feel like I always say this, but any war book that is between World War I and World War II, there's something about it that I connect to so much. So anyways, all that to say, I love this book. Fantastic. So far, my favorite book of this little challenge we're doing. But we're going to move on to Little Women. So I have a page marker of like halfway through the book. I want to try to read half of this today, but it's also Easter Sunday. Right now it's almost 8 a.m. and we have to leave for my mom's 9:30, and I have to still put together all the Easter baskets and get ready. So I don't even think I'm going to get any reading done this morning, but because we're there so early, I think we're gonna try having a early evening, and so hopefully if we get back around like 5 or something, then I can just read for the rest of the night. So I think that's the plan. And then hopefully if we come back by like 5 and I read for the rest of the night, which I usually go to bed before 10, it's more than enough time to read 200 pages. I should listen to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I don't know, like, the mystery in that book is not really enthralling me. It's just, I'm like, meh, I don't really care. Hi guys, I thought I would multitask and give a little bit of a reading update. So I am currently reading Little Women, and I just found out that the version I have is basically part 1 of Little Woman. So Little Woman was actually 2 of Louisa May Alcott's books put together. So part 1 is Little Woman, part 2 is Good Wives, and I have Good Wives separately in like the collection that I got, which is kind of crazy because I'm a bit past this mark, because that means it would be double this. I think it's like 700 pages total. I don't have the time to do that this week. So I will finish part 1 and kind of do my review for the original of Little Women, and that it was published as this being the sole book, and then later on combined with Good Wives, I think it's called, because that is like them later on, I believe. I'm not sure, but I'm about halfway through. Hopefully I'm gonna finish it tonight. I'm putting together my dinner right now. It took me a while to get into Little Women. I think I honestly have a book hangover from reading The Book Thief, because it was just so emotional for me to read. And then Like, it took me, I was supposed to read, after I finished the book Thief, like almost half of Little Woman the next day, and I read like 10 pages. I could not get myself to read. So it's taken me a bit longer to get into the book. I truly believe that's just because of the book hangover and not because of the book. But now that I am almost, if not halfway through the book, I am enjoying it a lot. I think it's so fun. I think the characters are so funny, and they really balance each other out because they're all a little bit different, even though they're all sisters. Kind of reminds me of growing up because I have 2 sisters and 3 brothers. So, you know, you get a mix of everything and everyone with that kind of size of a family. So far, so good. I don't know what I'm gonna end up rating it. I don't see it as like a cult favorite for now, but I can see why so many people really, really love the book. And I do really love Marmee, or their mom. I think a lot of the pages that I tabbed are like the parts where their mom is giving them like advice, and I really like those lines. I think they're really beautiful. Then other than that, I don't really have any thoughts. I'm kind of nervous about how I'm gonna end up rating the book, but we'll see. We still have half of the book, so who knows what it'll end up being. Okay, now that we're back, I wanted to talk about The Kite Runner. So I finished this 2 days ago on Sunday, and I needed a minute before talking about it. I needed to wrap my thoughts around this book, and I've yet to really know what I'm going to rate it. And I'm having troubles with my rating. I do believe it is like a 4-star. I don't know if it's a 5-star book, but it was a fantastic book. I shed many tears, and for a lot of the book, I was like, I swear I have read this. Like, everything was coming back to me right before some traumatic scenes happened. I was like, I know what is coming. I have read this before. And then I got to about the halfway point, and that's when I stopped remembering things. And so I think once upon a time I did start this book, read about halfway, and then I never finished it. I don't know when that was. Don't know why I didn't finish it, but my memory holds the test of time because I think it was at least 2-3 years that I didn't pick this book up. This is a story about Amir who, you know, grew up in Afghanistan, and through the war had to basically flee, and he ends up in America and kind of leaves the country having many secrets and many regrets. And then years down the line, he gets a phone call from his father's kind of best friend and co-worker, basically calling him to come back to Pakistan to see him. And so he does, and throughout the whole story you kind of hear about him growing up to present day, and him and his best friend Hassan, and all the things that they went through, and basically what Amir has gone through up until, you know, present day as he is an adult. And the problem that I'm having and facing is the same thing I kind of had with A Little Life, where it is a little bit like trauma porn. Like, there's so much trauma in here that you don't know if it's just inserted to get a reaction or if it was actually adding to the story and the plot. There's so many horrific scenes in this book, so many heartbreaking parts. And I did give A Little Life 5 stars because I loved and admired the writing so much. Hanya Yanagihara is beautiful with her words. And I did feel the same with Khaled Hosseini, but not as much. It didn't feel as poetic to me, but it was still such a great story, and it broke my heart in many ways. And Amir and his father in the later years of his father's life really reminded me about my relationship with my dad in his last years of life. So, you know, there were some parts that I really could relate to. But yeah, just the very horrific parts, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around all of it. And I think, you know, that is meant on purpose. But yeah, I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was fantastic. I have his other book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, and I hope I will be picking it up soon. But yeah, I am shocked that I guess I never finished this many years ago, but I do not regret picking it up. Yeah, really enjoyed this. I think it's probably going to be a 4 or 4.5 star. Not a 5 star. You know, just sometimes with 5 stars, you just know, you have that feeling, and I didn't have that with this book. But that does not mean that it's a bad book by any means. Then we are about, I think, halfway through Little Woman. I haven't read this for a couple weeks. I started reading it right before my trip to Mexico, and then haven't picked it up since I came back. So we're going to pick this one up now and try and finish it in the next couple of days. I am really enjoying it so far. I think the dynamic between the sisters is so fun. But other than that, that's about it. It's nothing that's like hard hitting for me. We'll see if it's gonna be a favorite classic or not, but there's nothing very wrong with it. I don't have like the pull to pick it up. I mean, I've been back from Mexico for 3 weeks now, I think, and I still haven't had like the want to pick it up again. So we'll see. Hopefully the last half will be really good and I will love it way more than I did the first half. Lastly, I want to talk about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think I'm gonna have to DNF this. I don't think this holds the test of time, and it makes me really sad because for years I've had this on my bookshelf. Like, this is one of the first books I bought myself. And I'm just not into it. I'm not into the mystery. I'm not into the characters. I don't care for them. It's kind of like pulling teeth getting myself to continue this story. I feel like that's why this video hasn't been uploaded sooner, is because I just dread picking this up. I don't know if it's just the wrong time for me to read it, but I mean, it's been on my TBR for well over 10 years. So if I'm not going to want to read it now, I don't think I'm really ever going to want to read it. And I also own the second book, but I think I'm going to DNF it, and I'm going to donate both of these books. So I made it to page 190, so almost halfway through. I mean, I think that's pretty good. 1 for 5. I'm DNFing. I'm not going to DNF Little Woman. I still am enjoying it and want to finish it, but this one, I just couldn't get myself to continue on, and I kind of feel like a relief with my decision that I just want to, you know, finish this vlog, finish this whole video, and yeah. So this is a DNF, sadly. So I guess we're going to continue with Little Woman. This is the last book of this video. I'll probably give you guys an update once I have finished it and let you know my thoughts on reading the 5 oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. If it was worth it, if I suggest doing this, and if my taste over 10 years ago still matches my taste today.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two. That corner coffee shop we like to go. Late night walks with you to take me home. With you I never feel alone.
I finished Little Little Woman this morning. This was so sweet. I'm going to give it a 4 stars. It's not a 5-star read for me, but I wouldn't say it's a 3. So overall, I did enjoy this book a lot. And I think what kind of hindered my experience in the beginning was that I was dealing with a book hangover with The Book Thief, and I was also trying to tandem read this with the audiobook, and I just didn't like the audiobook, so it kind of bored me in the beginning. So about halfway through, I decided to skip on the audiobook and just read it physically, and that's when I really started to enjoy the story, enjoy the characters. I do think my favorite characters are Marmee, Joe, and Lori. I just love them so much. I think they're all so great. Joe and Lori are hilarious. Marmee is just such a wonderful mom that has such wise advice for her daughters. So for me, it felt like the ending was very abrupt and kind of open-ended, but I do know that I am reading the first half of Little Woman technically, because the second half, Good Wives, my edition just doesn't have them together, and I don't have the time before this video goes up to read part 2, I guess, of Little Woman. So it is what it is. I still really enjoyed the first half, or the first publication of Little Woman. I do think that it will warrant a reread, and that may end up having a 5-star reaction, but for now I'm sticking with my 4-star. It was cute. It was kind of refreshing to have a classic about, you know, a family of mostly women in this video. The Book Thief was heavy, but female main character. The Kite Runner, very heavy, male main character. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is mostly with a male main character, but I'm not finishing it, so. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is between many siblings, which are all female and male. Yes, we can talk about this overall. Would I suggest reading your 5 oldest books on your Goodreads TBR? I do. I think it was really fun. You know, it pushed me to read these books that I have had and owned for many years, or have been on my radar for many years. It made me finally DNF something. I'm very stubborn with reading, and I just want to finish the book. I don't like DNFing, but you know, I try to push my boundaries and tell myself it is not worth reading a book that you're not gonna like. So only 1 DNF, which is not too bad. I own 4 of the 5 books. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is not here, so that's what's missing. And it was also a great variation of genres. I usually stick to mostly classics, romance with a bit of fiction in there, some fantasy, but you know, this was classic fiction, historical fiction, I guess mystery, and a middle grade. So it was kind of nice, well-rounded. I guess we can try rating them from most favorite to least favorite. So Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is least favorite. Then I would probably put maybe The Kite Runner, then The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, then Little Woman, and then The Book Thief. I'm kind of mixed between The Kite Runner and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because they're so different, but I really did enjoy that middle grade. I thought it was so fun and so funny. That would be my rating of suggested and which ones I enjoyed the most. I will say, in between reading all of these, I bought a lot of books because I had the Penguin Random House book sale. I had a huge haul from Indigo, and I had a big haul from Goodwill. So I don't think I'm ever going to kick my habit of buying more books than I can read physically. But it is what it is. You know, as the girlies say, buying books and reading books, 2 complete different hobbies. That is true. Those are my final thoughts for today. Let me know what you guys thought about this. If I should make this a series, I can read like the 5 next books on my Goodreads TBR. I do think 1,000 Splendid Suns is one of them, and then I think The Alchemist is another one. I'll have to double check. Let me know what is the oldest book on your Goodreads TBR, or your top 5 if you want. I'm curious to know if we have any similar books. What day did you add them, or what year did you add them? Let me know if you guys do this challenge for yourself and how it goes. I do recommend basically all of these books except for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Try it out, you might like it, but it just wasn't for me, and I don't think it will be for me. Thank you for stopping by and for watching. Let me know what you guys are currently reading in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week. Happy reading. Bye.
Make me glad to call you mine, and you have got my head in the clouds.